Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Women with Good Chat. I'm here with my good buddy Pam.
Good afternoon, Amanda.
How are you?
We've been having some AV issues, so
I'm head of the AV
you're
department.
the AV
and that's
department.
not
She's
good.
the AV girl. She wheels the projector into the room when you're seeing a film. Okay, no
Looking
one
for
under
an
60
outlet.
is even going to understand that reference. Anyway, there we go.
You're doing well?
I'm doing great. I am loving this weather. We have had the warmest November ever here in Toronto, and it has kept my spirits up, kept me outside walking, so it's been great.
Well, that's fantastic, and I know, obviously when the clocks fall back and we get lighter earlier, it really lifts my spirits. So I'm
It
pretty
certainly
happy
makes
about
it
that.
easier to get out of bed when it's not pitch black. Yes, I agree with you.
Exactly.
So there we go.
And speaking of dark things, we wanted to touch back on our goals for this year. We'd set some goals a couple of months ago, and we just wanted to do a bit of a check-in. And part of the check-in is to explore some things that hold us back sometimes. Little anxieties about this, that, and the other, or things that have troubled us in the past that might have deterred us from reaching those goals.
Yes.
So Pam, why don't you start us off?
So my main goal when we were talking, I believe it was back in September,
Yeah.
was about trying to learn a new language. And I picked Italian because who doesn't want to speak Italian? Doesn't want to go to Italy, doesn't want to go to Italian restaurants and sound like
Exactly.
that. So I picked that. And I also picked learning a language because my research has suggested that learning a new language is a very, very good way to keep your brain healthy going forward. But what I forgot is that I have dyslexia. Now, I'm making light of that fact, but for the last, say, 20 years of my life, the fact that I have a major learning disability has not really been impacting my life. Over the years, I learned coping strategies. I have been functioning in a way with my work and my social life and everything else that new learning challenges in terms of language, phonetics, it just hasn't been happening. But diving into learning a new language has just put that aspect of my personality and my experience right back in my face in a way that frankly was a bit surprising because I had forgot. But the outcome of that has been a real sense of kind of wonder that this time in my experience, when I'm faced with that disability and the social ramifications of it, it's not bothering me, right? I am able to look at it, I think, see it for what it is, not suffer the embarrassment and the discouragement that has really haunted me in the past, and just been able to say, you know what? I want to do this, and I'm going to do this, and really the social setting of it is not going to stop me from doing it.
Right, so you found a way to, the actual disability, if we can say that, is still there and present.
Yes.
Because I'd asked you, does dyslexia
Absolutely.
improve over time? And you had said no, not
Mine
necessarily.
hasn't. No, not necessarily.
Right,
No.
so you figured out a way through, let's say, age and wisdom,
Yeah.
to deal with it in a different way
Sure.
that allowed you to keep progressing.
Absolutely. Keep progressing and not suffer that, not be thrown right back into those difficult feelings and emotions that I would have had at some point in time. I think most people who have had a significant learning disability, our educational experiences have generally not been good. Okay,
Right.
for people our age, when these disabilities were misunderstood, when a lot of it was characterized as you not trying or
Yeah.
you just simply having a below average intelligence, all those things. So a lot of people in my position of my age have significantly bad memories of educational situations. And I think that often comes back to haunt us when we get in similar situations, just like any sort of trauma does, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, with me at this age, it has not had those impacts. I am not, even though there's a very particular look that often comes when people are all of a sudden faced with the fact that I have an extreme limitation in certain ways and they aren't expecting it, right? There's a certain look I'm very used to seeing from people, which is she kidding? Like, why isn't she getting this? What is going on? That has some reverberations, but the impact on me has not been on an emotional level, right? It's been on I know you guys aren't going to understand what's going on here. I realize this seems very strange to you that I cannot look at a word and sound it out. Mm-hmm. That's weird, right? But I understand what it is, and it's not bothering me, and it's also not discouraging me, which I think is important.
I think that's kind of a key point here. Absolutely. Is that in the past, and I don't know, I don't understand enough about dyslexia, mm-hmm. but in the past, the emotions that would have been stirred up by people not understanding would have greatly discouraged you.
Absolutely.
And now you're not necessarily sharing it with everybody, but you're able to, when you're not getting as frustrated with yourself.
That's right.
And you're able to move forward and get past that hurdle, which is great.
Absolutely. And I think it's more about what's going on inside me. It's not just generally, I didn't take the time to say, hey, everybody in the class, right? Like, the reason I can't look at a letter and make a sound, which seems very strange because it's just a letter, and we've been told the sound 40 times, and I still can't do it. I didn't go into an explanation, but I knew what it was, and I just went, you know what? I don't have to explain it. Whatever people are thinking, and of course adults are also way less judgmental than children are, right? So they don't know what's going on, but they don't really care. They're doing their own thing. And I'm not discouraged by it because I can just say, right, this is what I've got to deal with. I may never be able to read Italian out loud, but that doesn't mean I can't learn to speak it. It doesn't mean I can't figure out a menu. There's so many things that don't overwhelm me about that, that once would have overwhelmed
You
me.
Definitely get the Italian hands.
I got the Italian
I feel
hands
them all in my space here.
So see, I'm learning something from my Italian
There you
class.
go. You can speak Italian without having to speak. I know that's not going to happen though. Okay, so on a less happy note, I feel like I am kind of not having maybe as much success in my goal, which is to be more physically fit and just to hopefully look better as I approach 60. And basically, I do know what the reasons are, and I don't feel they're excuses. I feel they're hurdles that I've had to get over, and that is, one is my daughter had to have some surgery. It was nothing super major, but it was major enough, and we had to wait quite a while for it. And secondly, we had 2 dogs pass away this year in a matter of 6 months. Right. So it's been very hard on me. And I probably went through a little bit of depression, and
reasonably so.
I just haven't been as on with my exercise and diet as I should have been. I'm not getting on the scale because I'm terrified of that.
There's wisdom. Don't get on the scale.
Yes. So the moral of the story is
don't avoid this.
Throw that sucker out.
But let me ask you this: do you think? So what, that recognition that you had a goal, you were doing very well, something in life came in, whacked you up the side of the head and sidelined you. How has that how has that affected how you're feeling about maybe not achieving the goal in the way you would have wished?
Great question. So that's not an option.
No, but I mean, wisdom about sometimes life interferes and it's not really about us.
Yeah.
Does that make it easier to get back on the goal train?
Because what I think is very important when you set goals, and I say this to anybody that I know that is starting out or has perhaps they view themselves as failed, is that tomorrow is another day.
Yeah.
And as my eldest sister always says, you have a do-over. You put a smile on your face and you get back to it.
Yes.
And I know that sounds old school British thing, which we've touched on before, but it's true because I think it was important that I was sad for a bit, but now I do feel, especially this past week, that it's time to get back. it's time to get back to being me, which is someone that does things and gets on with things.
Right.
And I owe it to myself because, God damn it, the clock is ticking, man. And I gotta get going.
You gotta
I gotta
get
get
going.
to stepping.
Yes, absolutely.
So
yes.
I do feel good about that.
Okay,
That
good.
I'm ready to get going. And my partner is very into working out on the weekends.
Good.
And I've been avoiding that, so I'm gonna get back to it. And I think I'm on an upswing in terms of how I feel about it.
Great. And do you think your reaction to this is different than it might have been when you were younger? Would you have found this slip up harder to deal with? Say 20 years ago, would you have been more discouraged? Would you have
If it was 20 years ago, I think I would have acknowledged my feelings about it less so.
Okay.
Not so much in terms of my daughter, of course. 20 years ago was actually when she had her first surgery. She had her appendix out.
Okay, yep.
So not funny enough, but funny enough. So then I was very focused on that. But I think losing the dogs has been super impactful.
Oh, yeah,
and I
absolutely.
might not have acknowledged it as much before because I had so many other people needing me and doing things.
Yeah,
and again,
yeah.
in this age, we
Right.
find ourselves with a little bit more time to
Yes.
acknowledge ourselves.
Yes.
And
Right.
so I did go through the grief. I'll continue to go through it, obviously.
Right.
But I can move on and get back to my goals, and that's
Right.
my plan.
That's a plan. And that's the wisdom, right?
Yes.
And so when we're talking about what happens with our goals, whether it's going forward with them or whether it's having a little bit of slip ups, there's still the wisdom, which helps you keep going, get back on the horse. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so important. And again, when we get together with our groups of friends, and as you do as well, it really is important to have the chats.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
which is why we started this, because
Absolutely.
it's important to share your feelings.
Yes.
And I feel less and less, ashamed of saying, "Hey, I feel down about this," and
Right.
someone will go, "Oh, I've been through that,
Yes.
and here's what I did."
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's really, really important to share. And I love that you shared with us today, Pam, something that you've had ongoing, but you forgot you had it and you kept going, which I think is amazing.
I gotta have it.
So silver lining.
It's silver lining. For many years, it's been out of my consciousness.
Exactly.
There you go.
There you go. And you're upward and forward.
Upward and forward.
So once again, thanks so much for listening to us today, for joining us. And please drop some comments below. We'd love to hear what you've experienced in your life and how being older and wiser helps you deal with things. And we really look forward to seeing you next time on
Women with Good Chat.
Excellent. We'll
Chat
see you again soon. Take care.
Oh, that one.